something like that. So
Yes. Well, we're going.
Geez.
We have. I didn't make an outline for this one. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
Owen knows what he's doing.
that's a terrible
We're
idea.
good to go.
That's a terrible idea.
Well,
You
why
telling me we don't have
why
an
give
outline
me-
for this?
You give me the reins? That is stupid.
Mental
Oh,
But this
geez.
is episode 150
Sweet.
of
I got a
Be
cool
Her
number.
Culture. Yeah.
Cool
So it was originally, I told everyone Monday night on Steaks and Stogies that it would be our one-on-one for the month, and then Owen was like, "I'm free. Let's
I'm
make
free."
it happen." I was like, "All right, we can fuck right on off.
Word.
We're
Finally.
gonna push this back."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Finally.
After fucking 3 years.
Been a
Well, it's
long-
one of those
Yeah.
things where you guys record on Thursdays, and
Yeah.
I'm contractually obligated to do another podcast on Thursdays, which is,
Yeah.
the worst thing is that if I leave him to his own devices, him and Rob go off, and we have like an 18 episode arc that we have to do on Herp history if I leave them alone. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well, this episode is brought to you by Steve Snakesbury and his Venom Hot Sauce. Our good friends at Puget Sound Pythons, Jeff and Kendra, did a video that they just released, I think today or maybe yesterday, of them trying all the different sauces. Definitely check that out. They too, the Cottonmouth sauce was the one.
That was the
So,
one.
Yeah. Check him out.
Solid choice.
If you get the hot sauces, you're supporting Steve, his public outreach, education, relocation, rehabilitation, all the Asians.
All the good stuff.
I almost said all the Batians, and that would have been.
that would have been, all right.
So, check him out, Facebook and Instagram, and then blackboxcages.com, the Cajun company that needs no introduction because we talk about them a lot and they're awesome.
They're the best of the best.
I got to talk to Jen about when we can head up there and get our stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're waiting on some tubs to come in. That's it.
Yeah,
We're gonna be ready to go.
we might have to bring a trailer for this.
We're definitely gonna have to bring a trailer.
Damn it.
You get to drive.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I'm the one with the truck. I'm like,
I mean, I can drive it if you want, but you have to sign like a waiver.
you're not driving my truck.
I'm a good driver.
Yeah, I don't know. I've driven with you, Smee.
I have an impeccable record.
I'm good.
I've
I'll
never even
try.
been in a wreck.
It's because
I
he's
will
killed
try.
all the witnesses. That's why he has an impeccable record.
Yeah, if witnesses
Yeah.
are a couple of deer,
If they're not there,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he can't. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'll drive. I got it. But yeah, I'm stoked. What the heck was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
We got these new mic stands, and I guess
Make noises.
it ain't mine. You just don't know what you're doing, I guess. I don't know.
I'm tapping it.
These things are freaking awesome, though.
Yeah, they're
Just set them up
sweet.
last night. Super stoked to break them in and use them.
Yeah.
They're better than the old floppy ones we were using before.
Yeah.
That look like the design hasn't changed since like World War II.
Nobody appreciates a good mic stand until you get one with like an arm, and then you're like, "Oh, this is awesome." You used to I remember NPR beginnings. It was like a mic clipped right in front of me, and every once in a while I'd be talking, I just knock that shit over and stuff like that. And it's like great. So yeah, much better this way. Keep it away from my hands. So
well, that's what we were talking about when you popped in. Was like, I want to get some little end tables and take these off of like the center table, put them on the outside so that they're not like in the way. Like especially with Snakes and Stogies, when I have like a drink.
I say you just want to have a drink in an ashtray right where you want it. Like
instead of being on my left side,
right? You want it right here where it's supposed to be. I got you. Yeah.
Be even cooler if we could like drill a hole so that the ashtrays fit in it.
Yeah, there
like,
you go.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting a little
what if it was like a massive coffee table for the center?
There were some on Amazon I was looking at today that are like tiered, so we could have like a top tier that has all the little knickknacks and bullshit, and then we could have like our mouse pad one, and then down here could be your water bottle that you're going to leave at the house for 3 weeks.
See, fuck you. That will happen one time. One time.
It only needs to happen once. Only needs to happen once.
Dude, it was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing with my life.
Attach it to your hand,
dude. I know. I've only left it here once. Okay, I've only left it here once, but it happened to be on when we were going on our Christmas break, and so there was like 3 weeks that I didn't have it because I couldn't make it over here, and it was very upsetting.
3 week Christmas break. Damn.
Yeah, last half of December, man.
I think we get like one.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Look at that.
Right there, baby.
He's like, "Where's my water bottle?" Everywhere we go, where's my water bottle?
No, it's right there. I gotta keep it on me, man. I got kidney stones, bro. I got kidney stones. I gotta have water on me all the time.
All the time.
all the time, boy.
Must keep hydrated.
If you drink the Bang and then you drink water, it flushes all that stuff.
I drink the Bang, I die. That's how that works.
I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure that's nothing but sugar water and like
it's not
heroin.
Zero sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then it's just heroin.
A little dash of crack.
A little dash
heroin,
of crack.
Yeah.
Super creatine, ultra CoQ10, and EAA aminos for the muscles that I build. Sitting in my chair at work.
Jesus Christ.
All those muscles that
I build muscles while watching Cops at work. You know,
smart.
Jesus Christ.
Man,
why are you so sweaty?
Cops,
Cops, dude.
We're already off
watching Cops.
Great start. So I don't think we need to go through sort of the stereotypical like how'd you get into snakes, Owen.
I found one, decided why not keep it in her box.
There you go.
There you go.
Cool. Through and through. That explains all of us.
How does it? What does it feel like being one of the forefathers of the herpetoculture herpetocultural podcast movement?
I wandered in and like basically all these other guys were doing all the heavy lifting, and I just kicked in the door and I said, I'll come too, which is how I became a co-host on NPR. Is Eric literally was begging people, and all the people that you would expect and hope to say yes did nothing.
Do you remember who it was that he initially asked, though?
He didn't ask anybody. He threw it up on MP.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it was there for everybody. We're talking like Nick Mutton, Justin Julander, Luke Snell, Yasser, everybody was there on MP.
Jeez.
And nobody responded because I didn't have any competition, because he would like, I am no one's first choice. Like it was
that's not true.
I feel you,
come on
man.
now.
I feel you.
So the fact that I'm like, hey dude, I live close to you and why not? Like, dude, I had like 7 carpet pythons at the time. I had no business telling anybody anything. So yeah, that's how it happened. Is Eric had a good idea and I followed him, and that's pretty much been most of the forefather bullshit. Is, and that's why everybody gives him the nickname of the Podfather, His Holiness the Podfather. So
His Holiness.
Yeah, that's because I have a picture that Phil made of Eric in full Pope regalia.
No, we need to get one of those tall candles that people get. Like,
no, I'm gonna have a picture of it right back here on the wall, and it's gonna just have a little thing that says "The Podfather blesses you." So
5 of us should get that like tattooed or something.
Bless you, my child. Like it. Yeah, no,
it's just gonna be Eric's face.
I'm waiting for when I really screw up, and I'm just gonna be like, "Bless me, Podfather, for I have sinned." Like it would just be, but. But no, actually, that picture does come up when he calls me. But it's, I mean, it's just that it's Eric had a ton of really good ideas, and I just went along, and I have been his voice of reason for a lot of things. Of like, he's got big, dreamy ideas, and I'm like, so that's not going to work for several reasons. So I kind of do pull him back down to earth. But yeah,
Phil
dude,
does that a lot for me.
Yeah. So no, man, it was just not my deal.
Go with whatever
Phil is the other side of that coin, where I'm like, dude, I want to do this. He's like, no, bro,
that's dumb. Like,
but I'm there, just like, do it.
Yeah, Jake's like along for the ride. He's like, yeah. He's like,
dude, rock and roll, bro. Get it.
You need one on each shoulder, just to be like, you always have the one be like, hey man, maybe you want to chill. The other one's like, do it now, do it faster.
You won't.
You won't. You won't do it.
You don't do it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I mean, that's kind of how it happened for me. And Jake was like, hey man, I want to start a podcast. And Jake's like, what are we going to talk about?
Duh. Like,
I remember.
Like, what would we talk about?
I remember.
Like, what wouldn't we talk about?
Yeah, that's how it legit was. Like, I asked, I was like, well, what are we even going to talk about? He's like, we're just going to talk about what we talk about every day,
but record it.
And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, cool.
See, the good thing is that you guys kind of had a little bit of a relationship before your podcast.
Barely, though.
Yeah,
before we started the podcast, it was like what,
beforehand.
A month?
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think I met you a month before we started.
He could have been a serial murderer for all I know.
He is, but we just haven't told you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think Eric and our second conversation was the second episode of NPR.
Nice.
So we had one conversation over the phone, and then the second one was him interviewing me for NPR.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So yeah.
It was funny because
weird
I was like,
and stupid.
we live in a small town, and so the fact that he was into Morelia and some other odds and ends, I was like, there's no one else around that's into this stuff specifically.
And it's funny that you
I was like, so this is the guy for it. Like talking to him was like, he's it.
And it was funny because like you didn't even know that I was in Beaufort when you followed me.
Yeah.
Like he just randomly
come across each other on Instagram.
Ooh, snake follow.
Yeah, he followed me, and then
I had that striped IJ as your picture, I think, and I was like, dude, that thing's cool. I was like, hey, like Morelia, that's cool. And he's like, oh yeah, I live over in the other side of town.
Yeah, no, I followed. You followed me because then I went on your page because I heard Palmetto Coast Exotics. I said, that sounds like it might be close to me, and sure as shit, it was Beaufort. I was like, hey, I'm in Beaufort. I wasn't gonna message you until I saw the Brettles, and I was like, okay. Maybe he's cool because he had a bunch of
Morelia. This guy's cool. Yeah,
he had a bunch of geckos, and I was like,
fuck, this guy is a bunch of geckos here. Yeah,
it's like then I saw a couple green trees and a Brettles. I was like, all right, maybe
you saw green trees, and
maybe, yeah.
It's like, oh
yeah, okay.
The superior.
You might be. I don't know. I didn't say all that, but
the superior Morelias are in the cage back there.
Yeah.
Which one's that? The roughies?
Those are the roughies. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. I'm not gonna fully distree with you on that.
Thank you.
You know, they're the closest thing to a chondro genetically, so you might be onto something there.
Your shit's over here, dude. Yeah. The Bairds are over here. Okay. Yeah. So roughies there, Bairds there. They're psychotic. Like, I mean. Nice. We're talking tail rattling. We're talking hissy, puffy, and I'm like, you guys are rat snakes. Shut up, eat your mouse. Like,
you can ask him anytime you walk into my room. You hear tails on tubs.
Yeah,
it's all across the room. It's
you guys think you're hot shit. You guys are this long. Like, come on. I got to go downstairs and try to get an 11-foot retic to eat a rabbit. Like, shut up. Here's your mouse, and I'll see you guys later.
I'd tell my snakes to shut up so many times. I'll be cleaning, especially my Pituophis, because they get so pissy and they just rattle a lot. And I'm just like, shut up, shut your freaking mouth. I just need to get your poop out.
That's why they have names, so I have something to scream at them, other than just because, like, if I get a new one and it doesn't have a name, I'm like, knock it off, fuck you, I hate you. What is wrong with you?
Mine's usually stop it, asshole.
Yeah, knock it off. Yeah, right now I'm doing the thing where, because my bredli are together, and the female has figured out that the only time anybody's coming in the cage is for the water bowl. So she's got there's a ledge right where the water bowl is. So she's in hunting position like 24/7 right over that water bowl. Yeah. And she's like a 7-foot bredli. And it doesn't matter. It's 50 degrees. She's going to ace anything that comes near her. So I have to do the whole, like, slowly open the cage.
Yeah.
Slide a piece of cardboard.
Send in a decoy.
And then stick my hand underneath. Grab the bowl and run. Like, and it's just like, and then quick clean, and then slide the piece of cardboard, put the bowl back, put the hose in, fill it with water, close the door. We've gotten close a few times. She's starting to figure out what's going on. So I'm hoping the breeding season ends before she fully realizes my hand is under the cardboard, and then I'm just screwed. Because
that would not be any fun.
Oh, well, I would say the worst bites I've ever had are from bredli in winter, because you're not expecting it. You're just going quickly through, and then something is just there. So
there's something about bigger snakes and then all the small bones and stuff in your hands.
I know, right?
And it's like that's the trifecta of
knuckle bites, man.
Dude, probably the worst bite I think I've taken from a carpet was from your freaking super caramel jag. Holy God.
I remember watching him have to deal with that snake. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. That was the most psychotic carpet I have ever dealt with.
Do you want me to tell you he got better after you sent him up to me?
I'm not surprised.
He got twitchy. He got chilled. I bred him. He chilled out real fast, real quick. So he got chilled. And the problem is that I had half brothers and brothers. And I think at one point I'm looking around. I'm like, I have 5 proven adult male super caramel jags. I think we need to thin the herd a little bit. So I sent him out on breed loan. So he's not even here, but he's causing trouble wherever he's at. But man, it was one of those. They get past that 3-4-year-old stage. You start putting them through winter, and he's just like, all right, mellowed out. But no, he was because he was a jag. He would come at you, but then he would spin and like go
Yeah.
left, and it was like,
Yeah,
screw
dude.
you, dude. Like
He was so dicey,
You
man.
couldn't-
Like
you
he
couldn't
wouldn't
figure
just.
him out. You couldn't
That's the
zig
thing.
when
is
you
he
should have
wouldn't.
zagged.
It's the thing. He wouldn't strike. He would just grab. Like
Yep.
there was no like lunging at you. It's just like you picked him up and he's just like
Yep.
that's my hand.
This is mine now. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was
It's-
wild. I've never dealt with a carpet like him. He was crazy. I couldn't touch him. I could not touch him because all he would do was wrap you up and go right up his body to go eat your
And he
hand.
knows where you are now, and now he's
Yeah.
coming. Like, yeah, I've had a couple like that.
Crazy, man.
It was entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
getting him in a bag to send to you. Holy,
Better than any reality show you could.
I
ever-
recorded
it
it
was-
just for Justin.
At least it wasn't one of those bags that I've gotten. Like, you guys ever gotten a snake and you open up the box and there's clearly blood on the bag, and you're like, oh,
Oh god.
okay.
It's like a warning sign.
Yeah, like, I got a black face white lip, and they arrived, and there was blood all over the female's bag. And I'm like, oh god, is she hurt? And then I texted the guy, and he's like, no, she ripped into me when I was putting her in. I'm like, okay, that's fine then.
That was my
Yeah.
sacrifice before
Good.
shipping.
Yeah, no, I hope they make it. Like, yeah, it's
That was the blood pact I had to
took-
make.
She took that from me
yeah,
for
you have to bleed over the box to get it to arrive on time, according to FedEx.
No,
It's
I
the only
got
way.
Oh
So-
my god.
Doc Loafman sent him some Nerodia, and those got shipped to work. And
Oh my god.
because I'm at work all the time, so anytime he gets anything shipped, I usually have it shipped to the shop because I'm always there.
Right.
It's like
I have
better
to
than
t-
being sitting on a porch somewhere. It's better
Yeah.
that it's just perfect because I'm there. We have a back room that's not smoky or anything like that. It's nice and cool-ish. It's not warm. It's not cold. It's perfect.
All right.
And I got some Nerodia sent from Loafman. I opened that box and it smelled like straight death.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, one of these animals is dead.
Yeah.
Because it was like
It's
what, 4
dead.
of them? 4 or 5, something like that. And I was
Four,
like, one.
yeah.
I was like, there's no way they're all alive. And I remember opening the bag and like trying to count heads as they're all moving. And I was like, dude, it's like these things, like something's got to be dead. In there.
Nah, dude, I'm not
was
gonna lie.
bad.
Like, so those I don't know what it is. So I've dealt with bandits on bandits on bandits. I've been
Mhm.
musked on by so many banded water snakes. Not even freaking funny. But these Ponchatoula,
It wasn't musk smell. It was death.
no, dude. But I'm telling you, these Ponchatoula, Louisiana broad bandits. The musk is different, bro. Like
Yeah.
they nailed me the other day. Like this is unlike any other banded musk I've ever smelt in my freaking life. Those Ponchatulas are something else. There's
You could
something
go
about
through-
it. It is so bad.
And you enjoy that.
No,
Well, I would want to say that
I
there's
did not- I
different
didn't enjoy that at
flavors
all.
of musk
Yeah.
for different species of snake.
oh, absolutely.
There's like the python musk, then there's like the straight up colubrid musk, and then there's like
Amazon
deeper,
tree boas.
right? There's
burnt
deeper levels
tire.
of colubrid musk. Like,
and then there's Chinese king rat snake musk.
hey,
Okay,
minor
that's-
chill.
no,
Well,
I'm
sorry.
saying
They're
it's-
full of murderous rage, but they don't musk on me, so I
The
prefer
musk-
it that way.
the musk really to me it's like it's not as bad as any other musk I've had. To me,
Mm.
it smells like a burnt weird chocolate. That's how I describe Chinese rat snake musk. To me, it smells like weird chocolate.
Start having our
You-
own fragrance line.
Yeah, you
Telling
know
you,
you've been doing
yeah.
it too long when you're comparing what musk smells.
I'm not comparing
Tolerable.
taste, all right? It's smell. I'm not sitting there going, you know what's tastes differently? The musk of a Chinese king rat.
Okay, I'm saying smell. You guys, everybody knows what chocolate
Smell,
smells
right? Like I'm just saying.
Which I did not taste Chinese king rat snake musk.
Well,
You-
Man,
you're the one who
Amazon's have always been the
compared-
worst. to
You
me.
you compared copperhead musk to feet.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
pretty spot on when you
Because
when
I had that
smelled
small
it.
one and
I was
I'd
like,
open
oh
it up and
god.
the room would smell like feet. And I'm like, what the hell?
I didn't
No.
believe you until you put it in a bucket and then you
Yeah.
opened the bucket and I was like, oh god,
it's
it smells like feet.
the thing is, snake musk is like one of those smells that, like, no matter where you are, like you could be walking through a snake show
Oh
and
yeah.
just smell it. Just like how everybody unfortunately knows what the smell of a regurgitated rodent smells like.
Oh my god.
And
Oh.
you will
Or
be
a
able
left behind rodent.
to,
like for a
and you
day,
can
yeah.
peg it where you can just walk. Something smells like death in this room.
Something's dead.
Yeah,
Something's
like,
dead.
So you get that. You
Yeah.
know it. So these are the parts of becoming a herper that they don't tell you about. Unfortunately, with my career, I also know what regurgitated mouse smells like in water next to an alligator. So
Yeah.
that's even worse because it's been bloating and it's been wet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh.
I'd rather deal with mouse that was never touched than regurgitated.
Oh
yeah.
There's something about that regurgitated smell that makes me want to regurgitate.
Yeah, it's bad.
Nobody ever prepares you for these things.
No.
Yeah.
I got mussed on by a yellow rat at Daytona like the first day, and I could smell that shit on my hands all weekend.
Forever. You're like
all weekend, dude. You can't get it away.
When Jake walked by, it was that bad.
Yeah, it was rough.
We could follow him around the show by like 20 yards and know exactly where he's been. We could follow him.
Yeah, that's great. It was cool.
And he was like surprised that it did it when he pulled it out of the bag. He's like, dude, what the hell?
I mean, y'all were the one that was complaining about it. Y'all were complaining about it more than I was. I was fine.
Just get used to it.
I'll take a bite any day over than a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's easy. I just bleed.
Yep.
And it just smells like blood.
Well, I say that, and I'm starting to get more and more tricky things. Like I started with the Mad Hogs, and now there's false water cobra. And I keep eyeing up Blue Barons racers. So bites may not be something I should be doing anymore. So, yeah.
Dude, make some Barons racers and let me get some.
They're on the list. I got to get just a bunch of shit on the list. At this point, I have 32 different species. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I did a list today, and I'm like, crap. Like, it was.
That's cool, man.
I'm like, no shit. All right, well.
Yeah, but at the top of that list are bears. So.
No, they're far down the bottom.
That's why they're down. That's why they're down.
They're just a fun-looking rat snake, dude. Like it's.
So you said those were dropped off to you?
Yeah.
Someone was just like, "Hey, here's some rat snakes."
A friend of mine made a trade, and he's like, "Hey, man, I gotta go, but you're gonna get a pair of bears, like a banana candino, and a snapping turtle." And I'm like, "All right."
Yep.
Like, he's like, "Just deliver them to me tomorrow." I'm like, "Sure." So, the guy drops off the animals, and I'm like, snapping turtle, cool. It's a little alligator snapper, fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm never dealing with aquatic shit. So you're adorable. If I had an outdoor pond, totally. Ball python, huck it.
Huck it.
Throw it out with the alligator
snap. Nope. Like it was. So then there's the
you're
two
getting
bears.
fed the alligator snapper.
Yeah. So the two bears, and I'm like, all right, these are kind of cool. Like I do like the colors, I do like the patterns. These are awesome. Like I'm like, all right. Pair? And he's like, yeah, it's a pair. It's a boy and a girl. I'm like, how much you got into them? He's like, for you, this much. I'm like, cool, money. Bye. Like so they were mine.
There you go.
Yeah. And I literally like
justice, man.
I know. Well, before I jumped on them, I'm like, do I know a guy that does bears? Like, who's a guy who's do I know a guy who's absolutely fucking upset? I think I do. So I did text Schmitty, and I'm like, dude, what do you think of these? And he's like, those definitely bears, and they're nice. I'm like, and Schmitty approved. Check. Like, so I expect I'm gonna get some kind of like sign or sticker that's just you with a thumbs up that I can hang in my snake room. That now my collection is Schmitty approved. So yeah.
Cool.
But
I'm anxious to start pairing some up here soon. I gotta get more food in them. But
these guys got years to go yet. But I'm always looking for I like colubrid stuff that I can, and I don't want to say it like it's easy, but breed with my eyes closed. Like,
we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice to have the complicated stuff that requires more attention, and it's nice to have stuff that's like you don't have to think about it. You can just do it.
Half my fucking collection is shit that's like I don't know why she's in here. Like, and it's year round. And we're talking like I got both phase white lips, nothing. Timors, one of my male olive pythons doesn't know what his life is about. Crebo, Vietnamese blue beauties, they're causing me freaking agita. There's a bunch of shit here that doesn't breed. So if I can jump on a pair of animals that I could totally just knock it out of the park. Yeah. I mean, like I have cow kings, I have corn snakes, I have white-sided black rat snakes. I have 4 freaking pine snakes at this point.
Are they all northerns?
Yes. One's an albino. So
nice.
yeah, I like them. They're pissy little fucks. Like we had pine snakes and bull snakes when I worked at the zoo, and I got them to breed, and I never thought about it how cool it was until after I was gone, and like I didn't have those pine snakes at my disposal, and I was desperate to get more. And I'm like, shit, I should have grabbed those, like, or grab some of their babies when I had the chance. So I'm glad to get back in it. I got a good shot with one of my pairs this year. The other pairs hit or miss. They might still need some growing to do, but we'll give it a shot. But then, like, you know, I'm starting to get a groove with the rhino rats. And then I'm adding mandarins this year. So yeah.
Nice.
Then next year will be the king rats.
There's something about, to me, and as far as like North American species go, there's few things that are more impressive than a big pine.
Yeah, and the fact that they like, I put a video on my Instagram a couple weeks ago of me checking on the one male in winter, and it was just like I opened the drawer and he immediately starts doing that deep hiss, open mouth, like and I'm like, all right, that's just fun. Like, I'm not even touching you. Like, this is so I prefer it when a snake acts like a snake as opposed to like a, you know, turd in the corner. So yeah.
No, man, I've got a pair of albino Florida pines, and dude, both of those things are just not about it.
See, mine isn't bad. Like,
but they're great. I love them to death. The male's actually really chill. I can take him out. He's never happy about it, but I can take him out. The female just is pissy. But my fork line gophers,
that's another story.
Those things I can take them out now. I just kind of have to keep them away from me. I can handle them for the most part.
Be the tree.
They're real upset the whole time.
But
I can get not bloody. So
I think at one point I had like 10 pairs of bulls, pines, stuff like that. And it was like, and this was like
a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I had like a trio of white sides and a trio of albinos and stuff like that. And there's something Foley and I were doing. I think it was like 2 or 3 years out of college. He and I were kind of dabbling around together. I remember us pairing them, and we were just hanging out at his place. So he put them together and then went in the other room to hang out. And you could hear them all from like the room over, just so pissed off with each other, hissing and slamming around in their bins and stuff like that. And I'm like, so we're going to get eggs from this? He goes, yeah, probably. So maybe we'll see. But we did. We actually got we got a good group of bulls and stuff like that. And that was one of those things that we ended up, we're like, yeah, we'll sell them all after that. And it's like a year or two later, I'm like, fuck, why did we do that? Like, that happened a lot.
Yeah.
How many rhinos are you up to now?
3. I have my breeding pair. I did have a trio, but I lost one girl, unfortunately. But then I kept one of the boys back from this year. And I'm trying to work out with the other rhino people that I know that next year when I get a clutch, I'm going to swap some girls so that I can start building another thing. Because, dude, I mean, I could have sold every rhino I ever hatched 5 times with the people that like kick in your door looking for freaking rhino rat snakes. I mean, people love those things. And I don't know if it's the horn or what, because they're not any like less vicious than any other like rat snake. You go in that cage smelling like mice, they got little needle teeth, man. Like, but people love them and they're so disarming. And like, I have family members that do not like the snakes at all, but will come over and check out the rhinos because they're set up in a big tank in my living room, so they just kind of chill and do that thing year round. And
my wife loves mine, man. She'll walk in there, can I play with the rhino? I'm like, yeah, sure. She'll pull one right out, you know.
Dude, those were fun babies. As much as I wanted to rip my hair out trying to get them rolling onto rodents, they were just cute, fun little things. Almost as good. Like this year, I had the Mad Hog babies, and they were vicious little killers. I mean, they were false water cobras. Like they were they were awesome. So between them, the Mad Hogs this year and the rhinos last year, it was a cool thing to have because like you have the carpets and you know you can set up a baby carpet.
Those are easy.
Yeah, I'm on autopilot at this point. This is like my 13th or 14th year breeding, and it's just like, oh, here's your fuzzy, cool, thanks, bye. Like it was a little bit more interesting if I'm like, I got to wrap knobtail gecko skin around the fuzzy and then tease the Mad Hog to eat it. Like I shouldn't like these things, but they're fun.
Yeah.
And why don't you think with the blue beauties, what's the What do you think the holdup is there?
I don't know, but I'm going to freeze them this year. I was trying to figure them out, and now I'm just being very mean to them. Like it's like I'm like slowly trying to like maybe it's this temperature. Like what? Fuck it, you're going colubrid cold. Like it was just deep six them out of the room into a rack with all the other colubrids, and I unplugged the power and walked out. So and it's in a side room that is off from my snake room that isn't heated. That's where the colubrids are most of the time. So because they can handle it, it's Pennsylvania and whatever. So was very cruel to them this year. So if they don't breed this year, I'm really going to start being suspicious that I don't have a pair. So
yeah.
We had a really wacky winter, and so I had stuff in the garage here cooling off, and then it was kind of hard to do that when December was 75 for most of the month, and it's
that has messed me up, like to the point where I was talking with Eric about like pushing back my season a month or two, because the coldest months in Pennsylvania are January, February, and then it kind of warms up a little bit in March, where I start trying to warm up in February as it's snowing outside, and it's like this is stupid. So I'm kind of trying to play around with that. Of course, I'm saying that, and I'm downstairs today, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get any eggs. Open up this thing. I'm like, well, that female's grab it. Open up this thing. Well, that female's grab it. And open up that. I'm like, well, I'm like, shit. All right. Well, shut up, all of you. Like, why are you doing this? Like, so where one thing like the carpets, it's rolling, and I got it to where I almost don't need to think about it. If I start fucking with it to get some of this other stuff to go, is that going to fuck up this? So I don't know. That's why I kind of have I have an outer room where the Timors and the olives and the white lips are, and I can do whatever I want out there, and it's not going to affect the carpets. And I just got 8-foot cages made, so I moved up a couple animals. So the Crebo are going to go out there where I can kind of play with them a little bit more, see what I can get them to go.
Are you breeding the rough scales anytime soon?
This year?
Nice.
Yeah. Well, there's two. They
were about
there are 2 cages back here. There will be a third one added very soon.
Oh.
And so that'll get me up to a trio again. And that female will be ready to go. The female below needs about another year. So I'm going to give it a shot this year. New females going into quarantine. So I'll have everything set up once she gets out of quarantine. Give her a month or 2, and then I'll try for a late clutch.
I mean, those aren't really any more difficult to breed than any other carpets, right?
I mean, I did it by accident the first time.
There you go.
I put them together, and I'm like, they're not doing anything. And then she stopped eating, and I'm like, fuck. And my original female was she sucked at eating. She was so bad. And I'm like, all right, well, then she's going to have to, like, normally what I would do is I would put her in a bin for a little bit. Because at one point I was keeping them in cubes. And she'd just go back into a bin, start eating, and then I put her back in the cubes. And she would only eat mice. So I got my rodent guy to give me like retired breeder, pregnant, like mouse the size of a rat kind of a deal, which I had to pay out the nose for, but whatever. So I pulled her out of the cage and put her in the bin, and I'm like, I'll let her chill, and then I'll try feeding her tonight. I go downstairs to go try to see how she's doing, and she's laying eggs. I'm like, well, all right, I figured out why she's not eating. So
jeez,
I'm really good at this. I'm like, that was one of those moments where I'm like, I know nothing about reptiles. Good job. Like it was and then that clutch only had like 6 eggs, but it was one of those, like, I was so excited to get them set up and put them in there, and they were due on my birthday in June. And then, like, you slowly watch as the months go, as like one egg drops off and like another egg drops off, and you're like, no. And then that final egg drops off in June, and it was just like the whole clutch went bad. So,
damn.
Yeah, that was a nice punch in the gut.
I think that's what's happening with my Jansenii eggs currently. I have one of the 3 looks like it's going to go the distance, but the other 2 are starting to kind of shrivel a little bit and get a little softer. Softer. I'm like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that people don't understand. It's like eggs is step 1. Like step 2, hatchling. Step 3, getting hatchling to live. Like, and it's like it's every little step you can celebrate, but like there's another one after this.
Oh yeah,
so,
it doesn't end.
Yeah.
Well, I always laugh when there's people that say chondros are hard to breed. It's like, no, getting eggs is actually pretty easy. It's
getting them to lay the eggs and then getting the eggs to hatch
is the hardest part, and then babies are kind of like a milder difficulty after that. You know,
I had such terrible luck with chondros that my last one was a Rubiak from Buddy Buscemi. And Buddy actually contacted me. He goes, "Hey, are you doing anything with that girl?" I'm like, "No, she sits on a stick. Like that's all she kind of does, and I feed her." He's like, "Well, I could use her. Do you want to do a trade?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he sent me my 3 starting rhino rats for that chondro. So I bailed out of chondros and went running to colubrids, and I've stayed there where I'm safe. So
Smart.
Yep, haven't touched them since.
I mean, you could have done a lot worse than rhino rats though, because those are awesome.
I know, right? Oh yeah,
those have become one of my favorite snakes that I've ever kept. Like they're so much fun.
And I was so afraid of the small Asian colubrids when I first got into it, because people are like, "Oh man, they like it cold and they eat frogs and they die." And I'm like, "Oh no!" Because dude, everybody wants a everybody wants a mandarin, everybody wants a cockseye, everybody wants a bamboo, but everybody was like, "Nah, dude, no, you want a corn snake." I'm like, "All right," and now. They're the easiest goddamn snakes in my room. There's no heat on them. Yep. There's nothing. They're just
I actually think mine are probably too warm because of the ambience in my room, because of the Aki cage.
Right. Like, dude, I have a heat panel in the top of the rhino cage that turns on during the day, ramps up, and then turns off at night. Whatever that cage gets to is whatever that cage gets to. They do not care. And I've gotten eggs, so I'm not going to break it, but I have no heat on my king rats. I have no heat on my blue beauties. I have minimal heat on the blue beauties, but I'm setting up the mandarins to have no heat and stuff like that too. It's the heat of the room's fine for them.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that stopped me from doing bamboos is like, I'm afraid I can't keep them cool enough.
Right. Yeah.
Without putting them somewhere in the house without my wife being upset about it.
Well, I'm getting 100 flowers. That's just in my brain. That's going to happen. But what I've been told with the 100 flowers and with other stuff is that when they can't get them to eat, they put them down for winter in a cooler. And I'm like, all right, I could just set up some bins in that little cold room off to the side. It's fine. Because the ambient of my room is, I'd say it's about 80 something, 82 and during the day. But then it just drops off at night. It's whatever it is, because each individual cage that needs heat has a panel and has a terpstat and has a probe and is managed and stuff like that. So those things are more of there for like a safety net. They won't let the cage get below a certain point for certain species. Other ones, you guys will be fine till morning. So, and that's what I think I do more and more with other stuff, because I built the I hit Wheeler over the head with a chair and stole his idea for like the path-through tube thing for his scrubs, and I did that for my Timors. And I did it. I put in the cages where the bears are gonna go. They have small ones too, so they're like 2-foot cubes connected so that they can have room to interact with each other or have different sides and stuff like that. And I can also close it off if I want to, keep them together, but then separate for feeding. It's much easier that way. It's almost like shift doors.
How do you have that set up though? Like, how do you have it so that it's sealed and slide?
Drilled a fucking hole through the cages on both sides, slid a PVC tube, and then they have a cap on either end that keep them in. Yeah. And then they have twist, like threaded stuff that you can close them off with.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I'm going to drill a couple holes in there so that they can kind of still smell each other and stuff through it. But with the Timors, it's been so freaking fun because they both have like 2 waters, 2 heat panels, but they will migrate. One will migrate to one cage that might be a little bit cooler, and then the other will follow like a day or 2 later.
Oh.
Yeah. So they've just been, I just undid it, and now they have like a 12-foot cage that the 2 of them are just enjoying, and so far it's so good. Nobody's killed each other, and hopefully I get some eggs. So
nice.
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that with the Jansen. I have like a higher cage that's more branches and stuff, and then the lower cage which is more substrate and ground level stuff. like sort
Yeah,
of
I'm gonna do the.
forest
I'm
floor
definitely gonna do the
versus-
pass through with the white lips too, because then it's I think grabbing the animal and like putting it into another cage or
Mhm.
getting it to that point is stressful enough. Where if all I have to do to put them together is reach in and undo a thing and
Yeah.
run away,
Mm.
and then they'll find each other. Like there's no problem. Like I was worried that I don't know what was going through my head. I'm like, I'm worried that the female, if she eats a meal, she's not gonna be able to pass through this 4.5-inch tube. Like it was, yeah, there's no fucking problem. So yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of potential with that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah,
Like just I can't I think a lot of species would use and benefit from something like that where they have the options of moving around and stuff, minus like blood pythons or something like that.
I mean, I don't
just
think that
there.
Yeah, those any kind of like let's say gaboons and bloods, anything that's heavy bodied, low to the ground, you have to bring the female to it.
There.
Yeah. They're not gonna cruise that far. Like it's
But rhinos, something like rhinos would they'd be all about that.
Yeah, dude. My rhinos like to be up high. Like I have a lot of perches up high and a lot of sticks and stuff up high in their cage, and they usually chill really nice up high. But then they kind of when the heat's on, they'll slink down and they'll lay across branches and stuff like that. And then they only really kind of go down to the ground when she's gonna lay. That's it. Like and it makes a lot of sense. They're a thin body, all green snake. No shit, they're gonna stick up in the trees as much as possible. Like, all right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah.
Well, I got some of the Bio Gs from BlackBox that mine are going to go into. So I have one of the males hangs out in his hide pretty much all the time. The other male seems to spend an equal amount of time between his hide and the water bowl, and then my female pretty much lives in her water bowl. And the other night, I actually asked Matt and Rob about this because I've never seen anything like it before. I walked in the room and looked, and she, her face was all dirty, like she had been trying to push sub and stuff around. And, then she started like doing the reversal thing, like she's like regurgitating something, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because I hadn't fed her in probably 2 weeks, and she's regurgitating something. I'm like, what the hell? I thought she was dying, like in front of me, because like her mouth was open and she was doing like the the reverse thing, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she regurgitates this like ball of mucus. I've never seen anything like it before. At first, I thought, I was like, okay, because the last meal that I did give him was a little bigger than what I normally do, and it was like furred all the way and everything. And so I was like, maybe it's just a hairball or something similar like that. And so I asked, Rob, I was like, you ever seen any of your rhinos give, throw up like a bolus or a pellet or something like you would see in like owls and
or white lips?
He's like, no, but whatever it was like it came out solid and then it sort of like melted. I've never seen. I wish I had taken a picture or video of it because I've never seen anything like it before, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's because she's been spending so much time in the water that there's something involved there.
I mean, do you think that could be because it's too warm in there? Is it why they're always in the water?
That's what I'm wondering with her, at least, because the other, like the one male, I don't see him in his water bowl nearly as much. He's always in his hide, just hanging out. The other one spends a decent amount of time in it. And then the female, as of lately, has definitely been in hers all the time. So I'm wondering if maybe that has crossed my mind, if maybe they are just a little too warm.
But, I mean, I've had I had a whole clutch of baby carpets hatched that were like, they were obsessed with their water bowls. And they would curl up and sit in the water bowls all the freaking time. And they would like piss in them and stuff like that. And if I didn't get there and clean them out, they'd be sitting in this like pee water, which is fun. Great. Thanks, guys. They actually started to develop the blisters. The water blisters, which is fantastic. I had to treat the entire clutch with the iodine and antibiotics and stuff like that. And they got better. And the only way I broke them of it is I literally had to pull the water bowls every other day. So they'd have the water, next day I'd take it away. Because it was just, they needed to learn to just dry out. They needed just to dry out.
That's what I've been doing for her, is like I'll pull it and dump it and just leave a dry water bowl in there, and then I'll fill it up, the next day or 2 days later, whatever. And she goes right back in it. As soon as I fill it back up, she's back in it. And I check for mites, which I shouldn't have mites in my collection at all because I treat everything. Whether I see them or not, if it comes in, I treat it. And And I was like, there's no way it's mites. I mean, I guess there's a slim possibility, but I doubt it. And I looked under this morning, actually, before work. I took her out and I looked under her chin and then all the usual spots. Didn't see anything. So I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. She's fine. Like, she regurgitated that thing, went right back to normal. Hasn't had any issues since.
Have you fed her since?
No.
Have you tried a smaller water bowl?
I should.
Yeah, the smaller water bowl.
I didn't even think about that. I should.
I've done that before with like I have my male zebra jag. Just something about his water bowl. He's like, it deserves to be flipped, and it's like, cool, thank you.
Thanks, asshole.
Like, that was fresh paper, you dick. So I ended up just giving him a smaller bowl because I had a small one that was one of those heavy stoneware ones.
Yeah.
And that worked out well because he drinks and he doesn't flip it and all other crap. So that's what you got to do there. But the other thing is that she might be too hot. I mean, most of my guys, they really love I have the flat pieces of cork bark. When they were babies, they would just chill underneath the cork bark, and I would literally like flip it up, give them their mouse, and then flip it down. and then that's just what they would do. But it was also nice and moist and cool under there. So they weren't really in the water. But I also used to give them live fish every once in a while in their water bowls. I still do that with the false water cobra, just because it's fun.
It's probably fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it is a kook, but especially because when you go to the pet store, it'd be like, I'll take 5 of those little ones for the baby rhinos, and then what's the biggest feeders you got? And it's like, oh, these cool. I'll take 4 of those. So, but they would spend a little bit of time in their water too. But right now, I think if my girl's in her water, because they're in that big cage, I have one of those, those triangle, looks like a rock kind of water bowl. Yeah. That's theirs. If she's in that water, she's trying to cool down. She's getting close to laying, is what I've noticed. She only really kind of chills in there when she's getting close. And that's actually where she laid the eggs last year. She dug out underneath the water bowl and stuck them underneath there. And I'm like, cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. It was fun to find. Yeah.
I mean, they're in a rack in like 20 quart tubs. They're still smallish. I mean, they're not nearly adult size yet, but they're definitely, once they get these BioGs from BlackBox, they'll be upgraded into something that should be more permanent. But yeah, I mean, they don't have heat. So the room ambient is, what would you say, like what, 80-ish?
Yeah,
I don't see it being any warmer than like 83.
I think heat of the day with the Aki cage, you might get up towards 83, 84. But
so I mean, it's really not even. Yeah, it's not anything ridiculous. But I don't know. But I need to do that. I'll switch her out to a smaller bowl actually tonight or tomorrow. That's for whatever reason that never crossed my mind. But
I raised mine in 32s in one of those like boa file racks, the ones where or was it an AP? It was an AP rack where the
gross,
where they go this way. Yeah. So they were all in those, and it was just unplugged by like the front door of my snake room, like the coldest point of the room I could probably find, and they did fine there. So
unless I could convince Katie to let me put them in displays in the
if
the
you
dining room or something.
If you're gonna shoot for any snake to be in a display with somebody that you need to convince, a rhino is a good way to do it.
I feel like that's the only species I could really pull it off with.
I mean,
she loves those things.
There you go. Have a little 3 stack in there.
Yeah.
You can keep the trio together. Just what I used to do is, and I'll do it this year too. I'll pull the male, I'll feed everybody once or twice, and then the male go back in, and it's like he hasn't been living with these same females for the past like year and a half. He's like, oh my god, and like, all right, yeah, good job. So I'll do that, but other than that, it's just you just got to be vigilant. But no, dude, my boy was all over those girls every year. You'll start seeing them where they'll go chill together, and then at one point the female will just keep trying to buck him off, and I'm like, okay, good, mating's just started. Yeah. So
get off me, you nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah.
When are you gonna get some monitors, some Ackies? Kimberly Ross.
Oh, no. I haven't been to I haven't played with the toy monitors, the midget monitors, the tiny ones.
Don't say midget, you'll arouse Justin.
No, sorry.
Damn.
I've done monitors like a bunch of times. Like I've had Niles, I've had mangroves, I've had stuff. I've done all that stuff. I'm not really keen on it. I have seen Eric's Ackies and his Kims and stuff like that, and they're really cool. It's just I got a lot of going on right now when it comes to snake stuff and a tortoise. And there's a squirrel somewhere in this house. Like there's
oh my god,
there's so much shit here. Like adding a monitor cage is like a bullet to the brain. So some mammals have got to die here before I start to figure out if I want to start wrecking other parts of my house for other stuff. So but maybe one day, but not right now. Not right now at all.
I want my Ackies and I want some Kims, and then I'm drawing the line.
Dude,
that's all I have space for.
Nah, man. You're not gonna draw the line.
If I did want to do dwarf monitors, it would be Kim's, because those are just really cool looking. They're like somebody shrunk down a bell-faced lace monitor and made it like this thin little snakely kind of.
That's all tail.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and they're so cool. So, but nah, I haven't reached that point of the twilight of my herp career, which is what tends to happen with like
Eric is happening. Right
but that's where Eric's at. He's got one foot in the retirement home. Like I mean, soon he'll be that old guy that you don't ever get to contact unless you catch him at a reptile show, and he's like, "What? Green Sanzinia? I have 45. What are you talking about?" Like it's so, yeah.
I want Sanzinia so bad. Though.
I really, I can't get into them. I don't know why.
Up.
Like they're cool.
Shut your stupid.
Maybe that's it.
Have you seen them in person? No,
I don't think I have.
Because
I've handled them.
I had no love for Sanzinia, and then I went to a Hamburg show, and I knew Matt was looking for him, Matt Minatola, and I walked by a table. I'm like, oh shit, Sanzinia. I'm like, oh shit, that price is nice. And I just texted Matt. I'm like, hey man, there's some Sanzinia here. And dude, Matt and I have never called each other on the phone. And he called me. And I'm like, oh shit, this is serious. And he's like, whose table are that? I'm like, this guy's like, I know him. Hangs up. I'm like, all right. And then he's like, calls me back. He's like, go over there. They're mine. Go get them. I'm like, all right. So I go over there and I'm like, yeah, I'm Matt's friend. I'm here to pick up the Sanzinia. And they're boxing them up, bagging them up. And as I'm turning and walking away, some guy's like, wait a minute, you sold them for this much? They were supposed to be that much each. And I'm like, just run down the hall. Like, just go. Like
just it was the delivery guy.
It's over. But after that, man, I'm holding them and I'm like, all right, these are cool. And they were the brown ones, or what do they call them? The
reds or whatever.
Whatever the hell.
Red. They
were awesome. Like cool little boas. Like we're talking the closest you could get to a carpet python in a boa. Like they were awesome. And then going over to Keith's place and seeing the greens that were just stunning. Like they're gorgeous. Again, though, I have way too much shit going on here. I cannot add Sanzinia. I have to pair up like mandarins, Angolans, ring pythons. There's way too much shit here. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't know, man. It's just, to me, there's like a dash of like Bolanai to them where it's like everyone wants them and no one has them kind of thing. And it kind of is like, just...
That happens with a lot of like that ebbs and flows though, which sucks because it's like nobody gives a shit about Mexican black king snakes, and then it's like, where are the Mexican black king snakes? Like it's I mean, and that just kind of happens. Like right now, I'm sitting here with reverse trios of golds and black white lips because I can't find a black face white lip that isn't $3,000. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna I can't do that right now. So it changes. I mean, I remember buying white lips at like $200 and $400 a piece. So, everything changed. Everything is cyclical. Eventually, people will get tired of Sanzinia and they'll be everywhere, and then they'll be nowhere, and then everyone will want them again. So, yeah.
To me, it's like the Cuban cigar sort of aspect of like everyone wants them because there's this sort of like air of mystery around them, and people think some sort of special unicorn type tobacco, and they're, you know, you smoke Cubans, and I mean they're definitely not bad at all. Like they're good cigars, but compared to what we have available to us regularly,
it's a rarity thing.
Yeah, it's people want it because they can't have it, and that's
exactly
maybe that's what turns me off to it a little bit. Is like
the second
how many people actually want them versus how many people want them because they're
they can't have, because they're not supposed, like, because somebody told them somewhere you can't have this or this is rare. The second that become like Dunai are not rare on Weetar, but they're rare here. So the second Dunai start getting produced in mass here and they're not as rare as they are currently, no one's going to really care. It's a fun looking Macklot's python. So and that is how it will be, but it's going to take several years to get there. And then they'll get to the point where the only people that really kind of care are the ones who really like the species.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Absolutely. I mean that happens with everything.
Fun looking Macklets.
They are.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, mine is. So
I think Billy was talking about them on the recent episode he did with y'all, and he was like they're
fun looking Macklets.
Yeah, like it was like they're smaller, just little beasts.
They're between a Macklot's and a Savu, kind of.
Yeah. That's what
I mean. I've had Savus before. I've had terrible luck with Savus, but Savus are psychotic. Like they'll do that rap when they eat something where they use their entire body, not just like one or two coils. Like we're talking, they will go, and if the mouse's tail is out, they will keep going down the mouse's tail. Oh yeah, like I mean, it's almost like boa breeding at that point. They're all over it, and but again, I just had terrible luck with Savus.
That was another one in my younger days where I was working and I had like disposable income that I had wanted some and never jumped on them, and now
good luck.
Yeah,
good luck finding them.
Gary Schiavino is the only person I know that's even producing any, and Terry Burwell. But
there are a select few. I was talking with Mike Curtin this week, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm picking up Savus tomorrow." I'm like, "Where the did you find them?" And he's like, "Oh, I have a buddy who called," and he's like, "Hey man, I got some Savus," and I just grabbed them, and I'm like, "You lucky son of a bitch!" Like it was, I hate you.
I remember when they were $300 a piece on
exactly,
King Snake. Like,
exactly. I think they're like $800 now.
Yeah, I believe it. Even that actually seems reasonable.
It does. like right now, I'm waiting to. I don't know. I can't keep waiting any longer. But I got to get a male ring python and I got to get a male Angolan python, and I'm like, it's about a $2,000 right there each. Like it's like like it's 1,000 for each is what's going to end up happening, and I keep stutter stepping and not pulling the trigger. But then like a rough scale python pops up and I'm like, mine. Like, and it's just like, I'm like, all right, I see the problem here. Like it was so.
KZ Cannon severely turned me off to the rings because that was another one that in my youth I really wanted, but that was before they were available really anywhere.
The rings never really did it for me.
I think KZ told me how much they sucked, and I was like, all right, yeah, maybe not.
Mine is actually pretty chill. Like I said, it's a fun colored white lip. It's there. I mean, she's a little neurotic.
White lip and drag.
Pretty much. I mean, it's just that she's a little neurotic. She's growing like a weed. I got it from Eric. He does this stuff every once in a while where he gets these things and he's just like, it's really cool. And then like a couple months later, he's like, hey man, do you want this? I'm like, oh, all right, yeah.
The allure wears off.
It does. Well, I mean, like, and this was part of his whole thing where he was getting a bunch of different species, but you know, I had rings in the past, and I've definitely wanted rings again because they fit right into my wheelhouse. And she's a little hellfire, but I love her. She's great.
Yeah, Casey had a few, and he's like, dude, these things suck. He's like, yeah, like, they're the worst snakes I've ever kept. He's like, they're bitey. They don't chill out. They're just like, yeah, they're pretty, but that's about as far as it goes. It's about
they're on the second you open the door, cage, tub, whatever. It's like light switch goes on and here they come. So, and you got to be ready for that. Like same thing with white lips. You know, you cannot open my male goldface with white lips cage and expect him to come out nice and calm and say hello. He's coming with teeth and he's coming fast. And I've seen him like bite the side of his bin and get his jaw stuck because he can't like do this or bite the I think he got his head. He's in a cage with one of the supports in between,
Mm-hmm.
and he got his head stuck between the glass and the
nice
thing, and I had to pry him off of that. So I mean, that's just the way he is. That's just the way some white lips are. So you need to know that going in. Otherwise, this is not the snake for you. So,
and do you have any ideas where the disconnect is as far as breeding those?
I mean, I've been throwing Jello at the wall with those guys. Doing a little bit more intense temperature variations. We talk with we have an episode that's coming out, I think, next week, where we talk with Lisa, because she bred her black-faced white lip last year. So we talked with her. There was a couple more temperature variations. I think the big problem I had before is I used to let mine get too big.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a giant snake. They can get that way if you feed them. But dude, every proven male and female I've seen have been slim bodied, not that big, maybe medium rats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm kind of doing. And it's taken me a while to build it up because I've had to scrap the project and start from scratch anyway with little ones and raise them up. So it's getting there. And I'm thinking we're at the point where I think maybe not this year, but next year. But I do have my blacks together because I think my female was ovulating because she was getting pretty swolled up. And I put my male in there, and they were kind of cuddling up together over there in the corner when I left them yesterday. So we'll see. I'm not expecting anything. I'm hoping next year will be the big trip. But I think with definitely them, it's going to be more of that letting them go and taking me out of the equation. So they're going to be smaller animals in a 6-foot cage. So I can probably pair them up and leave them there for a while and have them kind of get used to each other that way. I might even try to do a little bit of cohabbing with them.
I don't know. I think that's, and with the Jansen and I, at least, and talking to Matt Most and Rob and picking their brain pretty much constantly about them, that's what I've done is I've just started cohabbing them. Rob had mentioned, offering UV, which I did. And I've had them together for the last, 9 months at least. And I don't know if the UV had any part in it. I think given the night drop, turn it off. When I go in my room at night, I turn everything off.
Yeah.
It's my hatchling rack. So it does get a decent drop. So it's been pretty much that, and then just straight up ignoring them.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that because they are a more high-strung species and they really don't want anything to do with me ever, and really packing out the cage full of foliage and stuff and tons of visual barriers and multiple hides. And, maybe it's a combination of all those things that, that I somehow managed to, I was doing something right because I got eggs from them. So they're clearly breeding.
Right.
I wonder if it's a similar situation with those where it's just you got to put them together and just ignore them except for feeding, and that's it.
I mean, I think it's really going to end up being that way with a lot of different species, is removing the stressor from the situation, which has got to be me. I mean, that just has to be it. And then making sure that they're set and ready to go, and also making sure that they're together. Because the problem is that if you breed one type of python for years, you're stuck in that kind of mentality of make everything like carpet python, and that's not how that works.
This is how snakes always breed.
Snakes always breed. I mean, there have been. I think I remember one woman in Florida got carpet eggs on Christmas Day, and everybody's like, "That's not how carpet pythons breed." I'm like, "Clearly, it happened. It did." Somebody tell them that. So, and that's what happens. So a lot of times I hear more and more about the people who get lucky with animals. It's I put the male in the female's cage because I was cleaning and then they were locked. It's like, they can't be that random shot in the dark. So, but think about it, where if they weren't cleaning on that day, they would have missed it. So half the time I think I'm missing ovulations and stuff like that because it might not be as pronounced, or I'm not looking for it at the right time because it's nowhere near when carpets would be ovulating. So it's much easier to just remove me from the situation and let them figure it out for themselves. If I get Timor eggs in October, fucking fantastic. I'm not going to sit there and be like, no, these are wrong eggs, and throw them out. These weren't born in the right month. Screw it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the approach I took with the chondros to put that first clutch. Was I put the male in? I was like, he's gonna know when she's good to go.
Exactly.
He'll make it happen. She'll let him make it happen.
And
There you go. It's all ton of locks over the course of June to November. And
I also definitely think like I'll talk myself in and out of things all the damn time. So like earlier today, I was talking with Melissa, and I'm like, I'm gonna pull the male blackface. Like I don't think she's really ready. I don't think it's like, I think we're just gonna pull him and try next year. And she's like, are they killing each other? And I'm like, no. She's like, then leave them alone. Like that, just leave them be. I'm like, well, I think she's a little small, so she'll give us a small clutch or no clutch at all until somebody's in danger. Just let it go, see what happens. I'm like, all right, fine. I think I would definitely have gone downstairs and like meddled in something earlier today, and could have shot myself in the foot. So yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it is a case of one of those species where they just do better cohab. Like Riley's experience with the Mad Hogs, and like they clearly do better with being with cohabbed or whatever, and pairs, trios, and that makes a difference apparently. And
I actually have Riley's Mad Hogs. He sent them all to me. And I kept my pair together, and they bred for me. So now I have a pair that's together in a trio. And then I have a female from the Riley's trio that I'm raising up. So I'll soon have trios, just two sets of trios ready to roll. But yeah, dude, they do so much better together. They have hides, lots of different hides in lots of different spaces. And I do separate for feeding, which it's so easy feeding Mad Hogs. You just pull them out, you put them in bins, and then you give them a dish of like a couple chicks, couple mice, couple fish, put it in there, and then you walk away, and then they just come and eat all the food. And then you give it a couple minutes, and then you put everybody back where they were supposed to be. And that's just it. And that's what you do. But they do so much better cohabbing, and it's so much simpler. And I didn't know when she was going to possibly lay eggs and stuff like that. I just watched, and when the female shed, I just marked it down, and she went into the bin, and she spun around a couple times and made a divot, and then she was in and out of the bin a couple times, and then I found her in there with the eggs one day. So sometimes sometimes I think we get in our own way. So I think removing us is probably the best thing you can do sometimes.
Yeah. You have
you good?
No. God, I'm
Jesus.
All right.
I gotta open the garage real quick so we can it's getting a little
go do that.
A little foggy.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people's failures with snake breeding is trying too hard. Putting too much effort into it. It's like you keep, because that's the other thing is, people, if they can't get a species to breed, they'll try something different every year to get them to breed. And it's like, that's not how nature works. Like you have to, just because something didn't work once, give it 2-3 years of trying that, let them cycle to it, and then try something different if it's not,
right.
I mean? Like,
and then the other problem is that you move them into new cages, or you move them into a new house, and it takes them that long to adjust. Like I'm moving white lips into new cages now, and I'm pairing them together to see what happens. But this is all to set up next year. So next year I want them in the big cages, and next year I think they're going to be big enough that I want them to go. But I'm also introducing them to each other, and I'm going to start pairing them up on and off, and then eventually get to the point of cohabbing, just because I don't want it to be a shock to their system of who this other animal is. So, and that definitely comes into it too. And it's something you have to just come from a different approach of the changes you have to make have to be small or gradual, because if something crazy happens in nature, ain't nothing having babies that year, because nature's fucked up and they don't know if it's okay to have kids. So you got to kind of get them to the point where they're comfortable and where they're relaxed. We had Chuck Poland on, and he was talking about his Halmahera scrubs and how that was the whole thing, is set them up to the point where they feel comfortable and don't even approach breeding until you think that this thing is bulletproof and it's in its own separate setup habitat, and that nothing is going to try to like really kind of freak it out, because adding another animal into its territory is already going to send it reeling. So you kind of got to baby steps.
Yeah, and that's why I really like your idea with the not the shift, the PVC connection between cages. Yeah, like that to me is amazing, because especially if you can drill holes in the caps to let a little smell through. But like that to me is ideal, because they each have their own spaces, but when come breeding season, you just pop that sucker open, or just leave it open all the time, and then if you run into issues, and separate them
cap
that
it up.
way.
Yeah, it was Shane we were talking to about his Halmaharas, where he always had the male kind of have access to the female's cage a little bit, but like a door would be shut. And he said he went in there one day and the male was like up against the glass near the female's cage, like just pressed up against it. And he's like, I guess I should probably start doing intros, because if the male is like looking for her, and that's what I did. I just opened the tube and then walked away. I didn't show the male how to use it, or pull the male in and throw him in the female's cage. I just opened it up and he went and found her.
Exactly.
So, and then they were together for a while in this cage, and then she shifted back over, or she shifted to another cage and he followed her. And then she shifted to another cage and he followed her. And then at one point they split up for a little bit, and I'm like, oh shit, I guess everything's done. And then she followed over to him. So it's like, I don't know what's going on anymore or what's happening, but cool. So it's going to probably be one of those moments where come after breeding season, I may have to handle the male and get him into his cage to feed them separate. But then once everybody's done eating, I'm just going to reopen the bridge and let them at each other again if they want to.
But see, even that's different, because it's not like he's going into a completely different enclosure to feed. Like he's still going into the enclosure that he can frequent whenever he wants it. But now I'm just forcing you to go in there so you can eat.
Right. Also, who's to say that they're going to immediately run back to each other after they eat? Exactly. They might chill in their own places, warm up for a little bit, and then she might go over to his cage. They might swap cages. Like it's weird. So
that's why you guys gotta let them do their thing, man. That's gotta be a big part of it.
I mean, zoos kind of do the thing where they'll let the animals kind of interact with each other. Like they'll shift the animals in and stuff like that, but it's usually a set habitat with that kind of stuff. And they're not really kind of introducing the way that we introduce. They're not like opening a bin, dropping a male, and closing a bin. Like they kind of shift it in and out and this kind of other stuff, because they like to have the less contact. So I'm thinking that way is just only going to help.
Yeah.
Listen, I still open drawers and drop a male in. It's just not with Team Wars.
Right.
It's like with corn snakes. Like, it's with that stuff where that's how you breed corn snakes. You drop the male in literally. So, yeah.
What are you doing with corns?
Snows. It's all I have. I've had
that's it.
I've had so many corns, and I fell behind so fast with morphs that I was breeding shit, and I'm like, I don't know what they are, and I was selling them. And then Joe was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just selling corn snakes. He's like, you're selling them at like a horrific loss. I'm like, really? What are they? And then he's like, they're this. I'm like, are they? And I just whatever. So I got to the point now where I have a snow male, I have a snow female, and then I have a het snow female. So only thing that comes out is snows, and they're here, they're hatched, and they're wholesale. Like, and they're gone. Like, it was just like, if you want snows, you have to get to me within like the first week or two after they hatch, and I will pull some aside for you. Otherwise, they're going in a bulk and they're out the door. So yeah,
it is overwhelming. I had like
the
sheer possibilities and combinations and stuff.
I can't do it. So I just went with one, and I can do really nice. They're good looking snows, according to Dennis McNamara. I thank you, but I don't know. I like that stuff. Those are the ones that kind of fell into my lap. I've had so many different corn morphs over the years, though. I just found my lane and I'm sticking to it, just like how I have.
So hard to do.
Yeah,
that's why. Like I messaged Chris Payne chap, and I was like, hey, it's like I don't know anything about corns, but I like gray snakes. So I want a morph corn project that's gray. Send it to me. And I told him just pick me out a pair. And he's like, what do you think of these? I said, those are gray and they're corn snakes. Sign me up.
Sold. Yeah, it was.
That's what we got.
Morph market is dangerous for that reason, because I see so many morphs and stuff that I would love to have and play with. Yeah. Just in terms of like pairings and stuff. But it's like I would never have the space to be able to do everything I would like to try.
The morph stuff just makes my brain hurt, man. That's why I like the wild types and I like line breeding stuff for polygenic traits, because that's easy. Like you just pick something and 2 snakes that you like and try to make it better. Not this morph stuff of like
I am having to relearn all that
combinations.
I just years of not having to worry about it, because I've never really dealt with any morphs aside from just simple recessive stuff. But now you're dealing with.
I just picked up a pair of like I have. So the lane with the corn snakes is the snows, and then I have lavender albino striped Cal Kings. And
there you go.
Those are the Callies. Like I breed them and I produce lavender albino striped Callies. Check. Nothing else comes out of those things. I got abandoned once and I'm like, fuck you. Like it was fuck you. You were not supposed to be there. So but that's it. That's all I want, because then it's easy. I'll keep a couple to sell for myself. I'll wholesale out a couple other ones. The issue is that like I have the white-sided black rat snakes, and I can't remember if they're het albino or not. So they may be. And I'm going to breed those this year and we'll find out. So, but that's really the colubrid stuff is just, stuff to sell at shows, stuff to wholesale. I got a couple pet stores here that I work with, and I got a couple pet stores that I'll ship to. And that's just fuel for the food fire. That's like, that's money to fill the freezer to feed other stuff. So, but we're getting to that point now with pine snakes. Like all I wanted was northerns, because they'll breed and they'll all be northerns. And then I got someone went to my local Petco and dropped off like an albino pine male. And I had a friend that worked there, and she's like, hey, do you want this thing? And I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. You're gonna force my hand.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, there is something to be said for sort of the simple, locality corns that Jake has for me, and the stuff that I'm planning to pair. It's like I don't have to worry about anything. I can just continue to refine it and just make good looking corns.
That's why like I'm so happy with the colubrids I have right now. Like I've got the albino pines, the other pair. I've got the albino and the het gophers from Chris. I got a striped albino and then a het for striped albino. Easy. And then I've got the Annery corns.
The white oaks.
Well, that's not a morph.
I know, but
that's what I'm saying. As far as morphs go, that's all I've got. But then everything else is just normal wild type shit, and I love it. It's like it's simple. I'm not nothing crazy. These are just gonna be snakes. That's all they are.
But there's something to be said about like I bred the olive pythons, and people are like, I want an olive. I'm like, cool, boy or girl. Like, do I need to see pictures? Well, they all look the same. Like, I mean, you can, but
can I pick one? Why?
Sure. Which one? They're all green. Like it's, there's something right. There's something to be said about having an animal that produces something that you don't have to really kind of think about it when you're trying to sell it. Of like this pattern, this color, this could be cool. Now, I do enjoy that aspect with other shit, but certain things like it doesn't matter. The weight of the animal itself is what you can go by. So
that is what I like about the Cyanea is like there's really nothing like they're all gonna end up looking green
snake with a weird looking head.
Yep.
That's it.
I don't have to hold any back or like man, I should keep 2 of these and see what happens, when I breed them later down the road. It's like, nope, they're going to be green snakes.
Keep a male, keep a female,
Boom.
sell the rest.
Exactly.
At that point, and that's the other good thing is because you can just pick whichever ones eat the best.
Exactly. It's like, which one are the best feeders? These are mine. Rest go. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man.
The simple thing with that, even further, the Cyanea is, none of them are. So
none of them eat good.
Nothing.
They're all pain in my ass.
They all suck.
They're all getting tails.
Those are
playing field is equal.
Those are the best kind of projects where you're like, the best thing about these things is nothing. I hate them. Fuck these things.
Yeah.
Like, they're so horrible. Why do I do this to myself? Why did I get another one? Like, those are the best projects.
You're pissed as you're spending so much money on them.
It's one of those
I hate this.
I'm
buying another.
Flipping the hatchling rack off as you're walking out the room. Right. Fuck you guys, man.
You buy it, you get in the car, and you're like, what the fuck did I just do to myself? Why did I do this? Yeah, fuck you. It's like snakes in a tub next to you. Yeah.
Stupid ass.
But it's funny because the morph thing falls right into the same category of like species that require a little more attention to detail than the simple stuff. It's it's the same thing, just different.
It's how do you want your pain? Do you want it inflicted this way or do you want it inflicted this way? Pick. Now it's the dumb people who pick the hard to breed animals that also have morphs in them. Where it's yeah, I want an albino white lip.
There's some really sickos.
Now that's just suicide. I don't know what you want. Those you may as well end your reptile career.
Like I've told Eric a million times, like I fear hatching a morph in several of my projects. I do not want to be known as the dude that hatched an albino Timor. What would I do with the fucking thing? Sell its ass immediately right out of the egg. Who wants this? Like,
and you can put the highest price tag you want on it too, man.
Get it gone, man. I don't want that because heaven forbid I come downstairs and my rack went haywire and killed it. Now I'm the dude that killed the only albino Timor python.
Yes.
Fuck you, no.
Yes.
Yeah. No, get this thing far away from me. Yeah.
And albino in those would look pretty sweet, though, I'd imagine.
It would look cool. I mean, dude, Timors themselves, I have 4
digital
right
camo
now.
Look. Yeah.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Love them. So, severely underrated species, but then they're starting to get popular, and I'm like, you're going to end up in the wrong people's hands. And it's a more agile, smaller, a little bit more pissed off, musky retic. Is what it is. Yeah. I mean, and that's you gotta understand what you're coming to the table with. This ain't gonna be a ball python. So yeah.
Jeez.
Well, the good news is when it comes to the Bairds,
oh my god,
there's a pretty good chance you're probably not even really have to cool them that much.
Dude, Bairds are just confused yellow rats.
No, no.
I heard that actually the one guy, because I said I wanted to get the Bairds, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "The Bairds." He's like, "The gray rat snakes." I'm like, "Whatever you want to call them, sure."
Damn it.
Yeah.
See, they're just confused yellow and gray rats. That's all they are.
I barely cooled mine last year, and I got eggs. So the jury's still out on if you actually have to cool them or not. I think you could literally just turn the heat off in your room. Or for them, like turn their heat off in the room. I know
they're gonna go with
take them off food, and they'd still go.
The sucky part for them is that they're colubrids, small colubrids, so they're gonna go through the whole colubrid treatment, which is you go in the side room and you get unplugged, and then I will see you in 3 months.
Well, that's nice too.
You piece of shit.
Like, sweet. I did that with a lot of mine. A lot of my younger ones that are not even gonna breed this year. I put them down because I was like, that's less mouths I have to feed.
Yeah, I mean, I've started doing that. I've started doing that with the. I have a couple animals that I'm raising up, but then I started doing it, and then I'm like, nah, I want them to eat so I can breed them sooner. So I just turned everybody back up, and I'm like, here's food. So
here you go.
Yeah, I did that with I have a caramel jag head exanic. Then I'm like, I want to make caramel exanic jags, so I need you to get bigger. Like it was but. No, dude, they fit right in with the stuff I got going on of wanting to produce things that, I want to get to that point where, like I told you with the corn snakes, where there's a box and it goes, like the babies are born, they're gone. But I'd like to diversify and then also not sell all the corn snakes in one push and have like I have a display rack that I take to shows. It's a deli cup display, slanted kind of a thing, and you can put all this stuff in. And I've always talked about having different species of colubrid that you can kind of bring to a show that could be in a nice little deli cup that you can have all these different species. So I want to kind of get to that point where I have a couple different things to offer, especially because a lot of the shows in my area are a lot of you got one or two dealers. So you have Outback Reptiles and All Pro Exotics, and those are the big tables. And then everybody else in between, it's got like ball pythons or beardies or Leos,
leopard geckos.
Yeah, and then there's like one dude selling video games, and it's like, and here's the guy who finishes basements, and then there's me all the way at the end with these carpets that I would say more people are getting turned on to the carpets, but like I have a very big adult display, and last show I brought my male olive python, and I also brought the babies, and then I left with no baby olive pythons. So I would like, right, I would like to get to the point where I can kind of almost introduce these species that I know are kick-ass that people are just walking by because they don't see them. And like, dude, if I had sat up there with the baby olives, no one would have cared.
Yeah.
The fact that I brought their dad with me and he was chilling in this big cage under lights,
making that iridescence pop.
Exactly. And drawing people's attention. And we had a ton of questions of what it is, how is it, what's this? And a couple of people that were interested in olive pythons but had never taken the plunge and all that other stuff. So, and that's, I say, when you do shows, you got to bring an adult because that's the best way to sell babies. Bring an adult.
Especially with
Billy says the same thing.
Yeah.
He always brings a couple adults to Daytona.
It's so much easier to sell babies with an adult there. Yeah. I brought a female bred lies to Tinley the one year, sold all her babies because it was just, people want what you have, but when you tell them you can't buy their adult animal, they'll settle for its offspring. Like it is
the next best thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd like to do that where I could bring a bunch of different colubrids and a bunch of different animals that people don't see. I mean, I got a water python once and I was vending that show. So I just stuck it in one of my displays and I put like sold or something on it. And people were walking by and somebody asked me what kind of ball python that was.
Oh my God.
And it's like, that's like that caused me physical pain. Like, but that's they don't know because they're only introduced to one little sliver of the reptile community. So yeah.
Which is crazy to me. Like, how can you be in the hobby, even if it's only in ball pythons, and not notice other stuff and go, you know, that's actually really cool. I need to look into that more.
Because unfortunately, that's how people start. So you don't know where that person was in their little journey. You start with what you wanted to get into or what got you into it, and then that's your world. And then eventually, at one point, you start stepping outside of it and exploring different species. And some people even step outside and abandon their first thing. Like, you know, dude comes in for beard, he steps off into Amazon tree boas and is gone with Amazon tree boas for the rest of his life. But, you know, there's some people have to gradually kind of realize what's out there and also to not be afraid of certain things. Like I said before, when I first got in, I thought mandarin rat snakes, if you touch it, it exploded. Like it was
just turns to dust.
Just dust, like dead. It's like, and that is not true, but that's something that I had to become more comfortable with my own keeping and my own way of seeing animals, and also learning from people like Rob Stone and stuff like that, that it's really not as difficult. And if I could go back in time, I'd have nothing but Asian colubrids and diamonds.
Yeah, I think it's just that pervasive old information of when they were first kept, you know, because the same with chondros. People still think chondros are somehow a difficult snake. And it's like, yeah, they were, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, they're really some of the easiest snakes to keep as long as you get healthy animals and they're, there's no issues. But same with mandarins and bamboo rats. And it's like, they die really well. It's like, well, they did when we were figuring them out, but it's like now we're over that hurdle, and it's like they're actually Really simple.
You mean when they were like thin as shit and we pulled them from the bush and they were shipped over in a small box and we were like, oh crap, here it is. Let's try to feed it. Spotlight bulb on it at 90 degrees. They kept dying. It's so weird. Like because we eventually figured that shit out, that all that was bad for them. And now we're not dealing with wild caughts. This is like a captive born and bred animal. Like, come on, you have a better shot at doing a lot of these things. So, I mean, I would never have ventured into false water cobra. I would never have ventured into Mad Hog if I didn't have people who told me about how cool they were. Like I talked to Riley and then I went to a Tinley and that's where I got my 2 Mad Hog babies. Like they were just there and I'm like, screw it, I have to do this. So, and then talking about false water cobra and on the show and Loafman was like, hey, I'm sending you these because you need them. And I'm like,
he's bad like that. He's horrible.
Dude, he is terrible. It's the chondro thinking where like the first taste is free. Here's your baby. Like that's what? And then your first hit. Like no. So he sent me those
first
false water
rock of
cobra.
meth is on the house.
Exactly. So I got the false water cobra. I mean, they're just they're a hoot, man. I mean,
I've never met someone that kept those and said I hated it.
Well, thank you.
Everyone I've talked to
ever said that.
says they're awesome.
I mean,
and me and Jake were talking about it the other day, and I just don't have. I don't have the space for it.
No,
like I'd like them.
I really thought about. I seriously thought about hitting up Loafman and being like, "Yo, let me get some." And then he told me they're going to be 6 foot in like a year and a half. And I was like, "Yeah, never mind." Like I can't. It's one thing if they're like 6 foot in like 2 years, I'd compensate. But like year, no, I can't.
I am not growing mine that quickly, but they are growing to spite me. Like,
that's what he said. It doesn't matter.
I'm feeding them pretty slow, pretty minimal, and they keep growing. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Like they're like the Monstars in Space Jam, but snakes.
Well, I was telling Melissa, and I'm like, well, that's going to need a 6 foot cage, and that's going to need a 6 foot cage, and that's going to need a 6 foot cage. She's like, where are you going to put this? I'm like, we have to move. Luckily, none of these things will be big enough by the time we need to move. She's like, we're moving in the next like 5 months. I'm like, I'm figuring it out. It'll be fine.
Shut up, woman.
Shut up, woman. Don't bring logic into this. Like, so it's no.
The market's hot right now.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Look, all I'm saying is we're friendly friends over at BlackBox can help you out.
Hey.
The bad thing is that when your college roommate builds cages, you got a guy to go to. Yeah,
and that's
So
I've heard good things about what he's been doing too.
Oh yeah. He's the one who built the 8s, and then I got the 8s, and I'm like, hey dude, you want to come and like redo like just
everything,
swap out all the because I built all those wood 6-footers. I'm like, you want to get these the fuck out of here and like replace those? And
we can have a ceremonial burning.
He's like, you were so proud of those. I'm like, yeah, not anymore. Can you get them the fuck out of here? Like,
I was proud of those.
Yeah. And then he's like, and also I'm like, and fuck you for not starting your cage business like before I built this shit. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, I had to do this because where were you? So no, so I'm gonna swap those out, but dude, I definitely am a cage guy, and I totally dig it, and I love the 8-footers right now. My retic is happy as a clam, which is terrible because now she's gonna grow some more, which I'm screwed. So
wait, were the wood ones the ones that retic busted the?
Yeah, the fucking glass. Yeah, that was a bad. That was a bad time.
That was a bad time.
I did not enjoy that animal. That animal sucked.
Cracks me up that it just like flexed and just.
It was it was a pied retic, and it.
Oh well, that's why.
I know. Well, it was a dick before, and then it learned it could break the glass, and then it was a dick, and then there were, obstacles. Like
it was the dick covered in shards.
Like I can't run and get him. There's glass everywhere.
So it's like a contraption from Saw.
Yeah, it was so.
Oh my God.
But I remember because I think it was actually Australia. We came back, and I went downstairs, and there was glass all over the place. And I come upstairs, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, what the fuck happened downstairs? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, you didn't hear anything happen? A snake's missing and there's glass everywhere. And he's like, no. And then I come downstairs and the retic is tucked up behind a wine rack right in the back. And I'm like, well, fuck you, sir. Because then you grab him because you don't want him to escape. But then you realize you can't just throw him back in his cage because there's no door. So you have to like grab this pissed off pied, and I threw it in a bin and stuff like that. But I got rid of those retics. They were just nasty, horrible things. And then
what was the initial draw to those retics?
I like the pied. I do. Pied retics are cool looking. And it was one of those things where, like, the same thing. The Bairds, a buddy of mine was like, hey, I got these two retics. I was thinking about like flipping them. I'm like, oh yeah, they look cool. He's like, you have a retic, right? I'm like, yeah, I got a girl tiger platinum something or other from Matt. And I'm like, yeah, I got her. He's like, do you want to breed them? I'm like, no, not really. I don't really want more retics in the world, but you know. And then I'm like, yeah, but you know what? A pied project would be kind of cool. I'll kick that around for a little bit. And then like they were enjoyable for maybe like 2 months. And then they were like flying at me, teeth and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, this is
a handful,
more trouble than it's worth. And then they started breaking the glass, and I'm like, fuck these animals. So it was, yeah. I got rid of those.
I've heard horrible things about pieds.
He was aggressive when it comes to retics.
Everybody says pied retics are just horrendous.
Yeah, and like the female was a het, and she was a little flighty because I had a male pied, at a pied male, and then I had a het female, and then I had the platinum tiger from Matt. So I had 3 retics at one point, but the het female was still a little flighty too. The male was just a dick, but he was one of those low expression pieds. So it almost looks like he was like half and half, like colored on top, white on the bottom. Right. And then it kind of bled up a little bit. So he looked cool, but nah, man, it was just not worth it.
Brian Cox had that smaller, it was like maybe a 50-50 between the super dwarf and the mainland stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big one at all. Like it was still, you know, probably the size of, not even as big as a female Brettles, but
yeah.
I was very tempted to get that from him at one point, and I just decided not to. But even the normals, man, they are gorgeous snakes. Like without a doubt, you know, they're doesn't matter what color they are, they're all pretty. No. It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, I want to, I didn't think I could give it the space that I thought it would deserve. You know, if that makes any sense. Like I didn't want to just throw it in a, you know, something small.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to give it more space than it probably would have needed or would have been the bare minimum, you know, and I didn't want to allot the space to it. I couldn't, you know.
I would probably not have any retics right now, but Melissa absolutely loves the retic that I have from Matt, and I have been forbidden to sell it. Like there have been several times where I'm like, you know what, I think Ripley's gonna go, and she's like, don't you dare, and I'm like, well, shit.
Like, yeah, dude. If the wife likes him, then I mean, you can't.
I'm dumb toast. Yeah, that's one of those animals that I'm gonna end up losing, where it's like that's no longer mine. Like it's so
it belongs to the cause.
But I mean, I love that retic because it's like I can go and get like whole like chickens for like Cornish hens from the store, feed it, rabbit, feed it. Like it's my sister was raising chickens, and one of her dogs ended up like killing one. She brought it over, fed it to the retic. Like it was just whatever it is.
What Casey Cannon does with his blue tongues. He's like, on today's episode of Will the Blue Tongue Eat It?
Yeah. The answer is always yes.
Like, the answer is always yes.
Spark plugs. It ate them. Like, it's
got a license plate in it. And
they're like tiger sharks, but so small.
I still, man, you do like chicken hearts or change it up?
Chicken hearts are good. I've been doing a lot of the chicken wings for the carpets. So like medium rats are expensive as shit.
Yeah.
Like so
I'm all about the alternative feeders that you can go to the grocery store and get.
Exactly.
Just a supplement, not even to feed like exclusively now, but like, hey, you're getting low on rats, or hey, you're waiting on rats to come in, or anything like that. It's like just to prolong a shipment, you know, an order.
Right.
Perfect
so it's every other feed now. So they get a rodent, then they get a chicken something, whether it's a drumstick that if you cut the drumstick of the meat and it kind of folds over the bone itself, so it's kind of just like a tube of chicken.
Yeah,
my carpets can eat it. If you leave it just the drumstick, my big ones can get it down, but the other ones can't. So you just slice it up with like a knife or something like that. So it just easiest way to do that. Or it's a full like a chicken wing. We're talking like full elbow chicken wing, like a big one. They can eat those easy. Turkey necks.
This is all just like stuff that you get at any.
I've fed to carpets, Crebo, Blue Beauties. Dude, what is it? I talked. Curtin went and got me a full shipment of like trout. My Crebos will eat that. There's a lot of blood in trout. Did not know that. It's gruesome, but
it's pretty gross. You laugh, but it was not funny.
It was not funny. It was not good. Tilapia, not the fillets, not the whole fucker.
Right.
Yeah. Small fish, like I'll do silver side fish. I've had scallops and stuff. I fed to some things. Anything kind of like bite-sized small fish stuff like that. My Crebo, false water cobra, Chinese king rats, blue beauties, any colibri, just eat the hell out of it.
You tried tilapia with the rhinos?
No. Well, I sent with tilapia. Okay. The rhinos.
Does that work pretty well though with the babies?
Yeah, I mean, I'll thaw out. What I do is we get the silvers, like the little silver. I forget what the fuck fish they are. They're little blue, silver and blue kind of fish with their heads cut off. That you get at the store. They're like heads cut off and they're gutted, and I can get them in a big bag in my freezer section, just all loose or whatever. I'll put them in a big cup to thaw out, and I'll put the pinkies for the baby rhinos in there, and I'll feed the baby rhinos, and then I'll take those fish and I'll distribute them in the bowls for the mad hogs and the blue beauties and the king rats and the false water cobra. Like there's
no waste.
No. And the top of my freezer is just nothing but bowls. And you just fill the bowls and then you just drop them off in the various cages of all the colubrids and stuff like that. But I got all my corn snakes, king snakes. They'll eat fish like tilapia chunks and stuff like that. My one black rat snake was like hooked on chicken. So I would feed it like chicks. But then like a chicken like wing, like a party wing is what they call them. It would eat that. I fed a ton of those things too. And people are like, oh, but if they eat like weird stuff, it smells. I'm like, yeah, but then you clean the shit and it's gone. Right. Like it's
what a concept.
Holy crap. So but no, dude, it's been fantastic on the wallet because I don't have to burn like $600-700 worth of rodents. It also has been helpful for them because I feel like now when it's food time, their front cage center and everybody just eats and I just blow through everybody's cage. And I've definitely seen them move around a lot more. The females don't lose a shit ton of weight now when they breed. There's they really kind of retain it quickly. So, and it's just, I think it's all around better for them. So,
yeah. I didn't even think about like little, the little wings that you get for, hot wings or whatever.
It seems so like what's the word?
Like the beards and corns, those would go crazy on those.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about feeding a chicken wing or a drumstick to that big yellow rat I got from Billy, man. Like
dude,
that'd be perfect.
They will go for it. I mean, there's like when you get the big bulk wings at like Costco or whatever the hell it is, you get the one that looks like a drumstick and then you get the other one that's like the elbow or something like that.
Right.
That is like perfect for like a small colubrid. They just eat the whole thing. The drumstick's a little bit big in the one end, but dude, like
just shave some off of it and be
I mean, dude, I have a cutting board now down in my snake room that's just cutting that stuff, and then you just take the little bits of meat and you drop it in somebody else's stuff. And I mean, it's weird when you come back downstairs and you look in there and there's your king rat and it's got like a fish and a wing like and a tail in its mouth, because they will just scoop their them and the blue beauties dudes just scoop their whole face and just grab it all and just shove it all in their mouths. So
that's crazy. I'm gonna have to do that more.
I need to make a run to Walmart. I'm gonna try that
dude. And the other thing, the best thing is frog legs.
See,
that's the other thing I was thinking
can't
of.
Get them here, man. We have an Asian grocery store, but they're never open.
They're never. I
saw them at the light this morning. Their van with their number and stuff was there, and I almost wanted to get out of the car and be like, "When are you open?" Because every time I go by your shop, it's locked.
It is a mob front, okay?
It's a front.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. But my store has these dinky little frog legs. I ordered them online. I'm talking like bullfrog legs. Like you cut that in half to where there's one leg.
Amazon or something?
Oh yeah, I just went online and ordered bulk frozen frog legs, like food grade frog legs. So yeah,
pulls out his phone.
I gotta catch a glimpse of this warlock.
You cut it down the middles because it comes like it's basically like somebody cut the top end of the frog off and skinned it. So you cut it right down the middle, so you got like a drumstick each. Snakes go crazy for that. And then when my falsies were small, I used to cut kind of like the ankle, like thigh part, or the calf part of the frog leg off, and they would eat that when they were small, along with all the other small things too. They go nuts for frog legs. If I had a store around me that just constantly had frog legs, we do all our food shopping there because I would just be there grabbing it up. So there's alternate food sources for all this kind of shit all over the place.
I'm sure it's something that people have been doing for a long time, but it only seems like within the last couple of years that it's really started to become more popular.
Well, I think there was a stigma to it. Like
that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to get at. Like there was a stigma to going to Walmart and buying stuff that humans eat. Like you know, like just like packaged chicken. Like there's such
feeding it to your snake. Like
what?
I fed a whole chicken to my snake. A whole chicken. I didn't microwave dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets and feed it to my corn. Like no, it was a chicken. Yeah. Like, and I mean, I was doing that when I had the mangroves. I would go get them a whole Cornish hen, and I would put it in their cage because then you could watch them do the whole Jurassic Park thing where they kind of like ascend on it and like rip chunks out of it and then run off back to their cages and stuff like that. God. And that's how I got eggs, is because I would do a big feeding of a couple of hens right before they went down for, like, I started dropping temps and stuff like that. So they had a big couple meals, and then I dropped the temps and then I warmed them back up and they bred like crazy. So, but it's something that I think we can definitely do and definitely look at as a way to feed the snake. And like Schmitty said, it's not every time I'm feeding them this. It's something to supplement and also to, I don't know, keep it interesting. So.
Well, for me, like right now, our issue is like because we're breeding mice. Like right now, we're having to raise up some groups so we have more to breed to supply what we need. So if I take away any right now, I'm taking away from our core group. Right. We also lost a handful not that long ago.
Right.
So like in times like this where it's like I have animals I just brought out of cooling that I need to feed, but now I have to go to PetSmart and spend $40 on 12 frozen mice, and it really, really hurts. I think, it's like frog legs, chicken stuff, quail eggs I've done with some stuff. Not everyone seems to care for those. But like having access to that kind of stuff for situations like that, it's perfect because it's like I need something in them so I can get them ready before I start pairing them. It's like I have to feed them first, and I'm looking like Walmart has frog legs and they sell them frozen, but I thought they were already fried, but they're not. So
nope,
that makes life easier too.
This is why like I'm actually like partially considering like when I have property and stuff, like I want to get chickens. Because I had a buddy of mine that I work with has chickens, and he was like, "Yo, dude, I have this one chicken that's dropping like weirdly small eggs," and I was like, "Yo, can I get like 2?" And he's like, "Why do you want the small ones?" I'm like, "For the snakes." He's like, "For real? Yeah, let me get 2 of them." He brought me 2. I dropped them in a bucket or not in a little tub for my yellow rat. He looked at them kind of funny, and I walked out. They were gone the next day.
I would I've already told to Melissa that I want to get like button quail.
Yeah, we've talked about that too.
A friend of mine does it, and I had some picky carpets, and he brought over like hours old hatched button quail babies.
Tiny
motherfuckers are the size of a carpenter bee. And
what?
Dude, I told you.
You drop them into a cage with a baby carpet that's not eating, gone. 5 seconds.
No way.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they were that small.
Baby, like the size of a carpenter bee. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gee, so comparable to like a fuzzy or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I had 3 carpets this year that were not feeding. He came over, I dropped him in, ate, and then I had 1 mad hog that wasn't eating, dropped it in, ate.
Damn.
So that's the golden gun. That's the golden bullet. Like I have now exhausted all my tricks and things. Now the live baby button quail goes in. Like, and that's it. So
jeez, man, we really do need to get on that.
I'd still feel kind of bad though.
I don't care.
I'd be like, damn.
Screw it.
I've lost my soul. It's gone.
I'm going to
I have no soul.
I have no soul. I've sold my soul to snakes. But what the whole thing is that I would much rather move heaven and earth and find something that this animal will eat on its own than attempt to shove something down its throat.
Same.
So
same. I'm right there with you.
Don't care. I got last year. I got my 3 carpets that were not eating on live minnows because I had a bunch of minnows because I was trying to get the baby rhinos to eat, and never thought a carpet would get started on minnows, but they did.
No way.
Fed them minnows, like just I think it was at one point it was a live minnow in the water bowl. Then after that it was a dead minnow on a tongs. Then it was a fuzzy with a minnow kind of draped over it. Then it was a scented fuzzy. And then I have the one female that's still left from those. She's pounded down adult former breeding mice. No problem now.
Dang.
So
there you go.
Dude, I'll do whatever. Just tell me what you want. I'll do it.
Yeah,
like,
tell
I'll
me
get
what you want.
Tell me what you want. I'll get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I usually do like one bulk order from Rodent Pro a year where the box is filled with nothing but birds. We're talking like quail all the way up to like chicken, like the whole thing. And just because I need it. I mean, like, and also, dude, like I'll burn through a bag full of like peeping like chicks so quickly. Luckily, I live near Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so I can get chicks all day, every day because nobody wants males. So my rodent guy just gets them, gasses them, and then sells them off. So, but that's usually part of the diet with the Asian colubrids. It's like a rodent, some fish, some chicken, and then like 3 or 4 chicks, and that's in their bowl, and that's what they get every week. So,
we need to get a shopping list together.
Yeah.
Because now that I realize, like I said, I thought those frog legs
were fried.
Yeah,
no,
they're $21 for 2 pounds, but still not horrible. Still cheaper than $40.
Let me know when you get some. I would.
And you get the full pelvis, so cut it down the middle, and you got 2 little frog drumsticks. So yeah, that's 2 snakes fed. Yeah.
Nice. I need to do something because I got an Everglades baby that's holding out on me. I got my buddy sent them to me with no meals in them, just out the egg. Like, here you go, you're getting a box, so I'm throwing these in. I said, okay.
If you can,
one of them went just fine, but I've got one that's been holding out too long.
Tails, man.
Tails.
I've been waiting for it to warm up so I can go snatch a gecko off the
building at work.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking, I'm like, man, if I get some chicken, I wonder if I just like rub chicken all over it.
That or try a live minnow in the water bowl, see if it takes that.
Get a can of tuna and dip it in the juice.
Do that, or what you can do is when Schmitty gets the frog legs, cut the calf off of one of the legs and feed that like trunk.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, or just like a
go
small slice of chicken or fish or something.
Yeah, or you can even thaw out a pinky with the frog legs and just throw that at it. I have the scent stuff from Reptilinks. That's good. I like it. But I found that I can get the same kind of result. Like I have one hognose, one mad hog that was started on geckos, and I just thaw out. I used to just started thawing out the fuzzies with a frozen gecko. And then once the fuzzy was thawed, I took the gecko, put it back in the bag, checked it back in the freezer.
Yep.
So
we have Mediterranean house geckos here, and they're on the building that I work at the shop's at. And so me and him last year went and caught a handful of them. I was going to try and start breeding them and producing my own, but that didn't work out.
You don't still have that frozen one, do you?
I might. I can look.
If you do,
but I just kept one frozen, and I would use that to scent for the Cyanea babies.
If you do, let me get it this week.
We could check when we're done.
Cool.
I don't remember what I did with it.
It's in there somewhere. There's always that deep part of the freezer where you're like, what the fuck is this?
I have an allotted space in the freezer for my mice and stuff, and they're in an opaque bag because my wife said I don't want to see their faces when I open the freezer. And I was like, fair enough. So
it's why you got to get yourself your own deep freezer where you can.
That's right, yeah, man. I can't. I couldn't use a regular freezer, man. I always buy bulk frozen stuff, and like it wouldn't fit in a normal freezer. So that's why I have a separate chest freezer. I keep everything.
Yeah, I have a small chest freezer. My one of my best friends, they just got he's not a snake guy, but they just got a chest freezer that like I could lay down in. It's that big.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, I want this freezer. How much for it? And he's like, dude, no, I just got it. Like the kids stuff are in there. I'm like, you don't like your 3 children don't need this freezer. I need this freezer. Okay. Like give me this freezer.
I'll trade you.
Yeah. He's like, I'll trade you my freezer for yours because yours is like, what the fuck is wrong? Where are you going to put this in your house? I will figure out a way. Give me the freezer. Like, yeah. So
nice.
That's the next thing, man. New house, big ass chest freezer. I can just fill it up.
Big old chest freezer.
Big old chest freezer. Just fill it up full of things. Yep.
Just dead stuff. It's gonna be
great.
Dude.
What is it? My one friend, she breeds the Flemish giant rabbits, and they had 2 that didn't make it. And she's like, you can feed them your retic. And I got them, and I'm like, no, I can't.
No, I can't.
No, I
These are
cannot.
too big.
So I actually broke them down.
Of a Jack Russell.
Oh yeah. So I actually broke them down and fed bits of them, like parts of them to the retic, but parts to like the Crebo and stuff like that. I mean,
oh dude.
Oh yeah. Dude, nothing goes waste over here.
Yeah, dude. See, that's one. I don't know if I could chop up a rabbit, bro.
That just sounds messy.
I'll chop up. I chop up pinkies for.
I will say that
for my water snakes and stuff.
When it came to me, it had already been majority processed. Like it had, because they had also wanted the fur because that's one of the reasons that they breed them and stuff like that. It was just a husk. Like it was.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense.
It was not a fuzzy happy bunny. It was okay. It was a skinned bunny. Like it was.
This looked like a small hairless cat.
Yeah, it was a skinned and gutted bunny. So yeah, but it was still huge.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes much more sense. Cool, man. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark now.
What's the name of your podcast again?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's something. It's some bullshit that comes on at some time.
Chondro Python Radio
It's
Network.
something. You know, Owen and the Short Guy. I don't remember the whole thing. It's Morelia Python Radio. Yep, MPR. What the hell? I think it's their 11th season at this point, or 12th. I can't remember. They all blur together. I think it was like our 450 something episode this past week. It's insanity.
Jeez.
So, yep.
Well, congrats, man. Thanks for sticking with it and riding the wave.
This took too long to make.
Yeah. Well, you know, don't pick days when I do other recordings. So, you bend to my needs, damn it. So
we try. We try to make it as easy for people as possible.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man. This was great. Long overdue for sure.
Yeah, man, it's been fun.
You're an inspiration.
That's not true at all. But no, dude, guys, it was fun. Definitely a good time, and I promise it won't be so long of a gap. It won't be another 150 episodes before I can come back.
Yeah, for sure not.
We need to do one with you and Eric.
Those are the best ones because then it's just you can just hit record and leave. We'll just take over. It'll just be an NPR episode. Like, I mean, it just
like we don't even need you.
We don't need to be here. Yeah, it's fine.
I thought about that. It is like we should totally have it to where Eric and Owen do a THP episode, but they introduce themselves as like the THP host.
I don't know.
And then we'll do it as the NPR.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen those kind of swap things. Like, where I think it was like a bunch of podcasts on one network. They did switching and this, that, and the other thing. So, I mean, you'd have to run that by the boss man. I don't make any decisions. I just show up and wreak havoc.
You're the talent.
Yeah,
we would ruin their podcast. Get out of here.
Please, I haven't ruined it in 11 years. It cannot be ruined. So
it cannot be ruined. It's already there.
It would have been ruined by now.
I've tried to murder it several times. It won't die.
Like I wanted out of this podcast 4 years ago.
Like 5 episodes, and I'd be done, and it just keeps fucking going. Like
like herpes. Try all you want. It's not going anywhere.
Never going away. Yep.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Cool.
Appreciate
all right,
it.
guys. We'll catch you around. All right.
Later. This was episode 150, brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram, and if you're on TikTok, they're on there too. And Steve Snake's Venom Hot Sauce. Check it out.
Do it.
Cottonmouth sauce is where it's at. I still need to message Steve and get my hands on some of the anti-venom sauce.
Yeah.
He said he'd send me a bottle, and I have yet to take him up on that.
We need to get a bottle.
Yeah. So Jeff and Gendra, they tried that one on their video.
Oh, they did?
I think that was the hottest one out of all of them because they started coughing a little bit. You could tell they were feeling it. So
the biggest secret is don't inhale.
Yeah,
do not breathe in while you eat the hot sauce. It's a mistake.
We will be back for Snakes and Stogies 108 Monday night at 9, and then you won't see us for THP next week because we're doing a ChondroCast episode.
Yep.
That's right.
And then you get our one-on-one. Hopefully it won't be as trash as the last one.
And then after that, we have, I believe, Corey Martin lined up. So, And then after that,
hopefully Kai.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Haven't had Kai on since the early days.
Wasn't he our first guest?
No, I think Riley was our first guest. Kai was
you're right.
I think maybe the third.
He was up there, but yeah, you're right. Riley was our first guest.
So ChondroCast is happening. It's going to be myself, Thomas Budway, James Opedal, Andy Middleton, and Jay Chondro.
Sounds like a big old circle jerk, man.
Hey, grab the zipper of the guy to your left and pull it down.
There you go.
That'll be good. Like I said, I told you guys I was going to try and make ChondroCast happen more often. So I'm doing that. Told you guys I'd be adding more content to the YouTube channel outside of these. We're doing that. I got some more 5 questions lined up. Those are actually really fun. Those are really enjoyable, very quick, very easy to do and edit and post. So I'm going to keep those coming. I'm going to start releasing those on Wednesdays, I think is kind of the day that those, I think I'm going to start every Wednesday. I'll drop one of those. I have Corey Martin lined up for that actually on Monday to record. So
cool. Then come springtime, I've got some plans to be uploading some stuff to the YouTube.
I'm gonna be upgrading the camera soon.
Be good shit. One day. All right, y'all. Episode 150.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Love you guys.